About the last topic, then we do have a small matter of the North London derby coming up this weekend at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday. We are unfortunately on a record of 2 losses in a row against Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which I think we were unbeaten for about, I don't know, a long time.
8 seasons or something.
About 8 seasons. I think since 2014, I think, was the last defeat before a couple of years ago under Conte. We were unbeaten, and now we've lost twice in a row. Last year's game was a weird one because we started so well in that first half. We were dominating us, so I guess very similar to some games this season. But we were dominating them. We were the ones on the front foot. We were putting them under pressure, and then 2 set pieces and a counter-attack, which was preceded a penalty claim later. We were 3-0 down out of nowhere, and all of a sudden the game was over. We did rally in the second half, go back to 3-2, nearly made it 3-3 near the end, but just wasn't to be. I remember that game. Decky had a brilliant game. He was playing off the right-hand side. Romero could have had a hat-trick, I remember, in that game, but wasn't to be.
Decky was fouled in the box as well.
Decky, I'm saying Decky was fouled, and then they didn't give the penalty, and then they went and scored straight from that attack.
Terrible refereeing performance.
Terrible refereeing, yeah, was shocking. And we had, Højbjerg scored an own goal, which put them 1-0 up, and obviously they scored just before half-time to make it 3-0 as well. But going into this game on Sunday, how are we feeling? Do we feel like, we're in a position where we do have a really good chance of getting a result here? Or are you as fearful that, it could be a repeat? No chance?
Like I said, short-term faith, not there. But
you think we're on the way to another
the North London derby in 2026. Yeah, no, I just think right now the fragility, it's the worst time that this game could come. I do think we will dominate. I don't think we'll get beaten the way we have before, but I think they'll snatch the game.
You think we'll lose?
Yeah, I think we'll lose, but it might be quite close, maybe 2-1 or 1-0. I just think it's just not the right time for us. We need it. We need a game, like Josh said, we need a big win, but we also need a couple games where we get the breaks. When you don't get the breaks and you go in and play your biggest rival, that's not a good time, where you can't even.
Like sometimes when you go into a game feeling like you've got nothing to lose, that could really benefit us.
Could be. I was about to say, that kind of universal reverse psychology is negated when you think. I'm the expert on this, the football gods and all that stuff. It's negated when you realize it.
To the football gods here, a prophet.
Yeah, it's like you're not supposed to look at it. You're not supposed to go, oh, but what about that? It's like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to go into it with nothing to lose. Don't talk about that you have nothing
to lose. Exactly. You have to be at one with the fact that we are going to lose for the football gods to switch it around for you.
Yeah, petty on us.
I don't think we've got nothing to lose. In fact, I think Ange will be coming into this with a little bit of nerves. He'll feel like he's got something to prove after last season. He made a big song and dance in some of his pre-match talks and stuff like that about, he knows what the rivalry is, Rangers, Celtic, back when he was at Melbourne and all that sort of stuff. He said that, he's been in some of the biggest rivalries all around the world, whatever. And then we go and lose at home. Do you know what I mean? When we really needed to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
So me personally, I think I can't see past an Arsenal win for me, unfortunately, because we do give up chances and their players will score those chances. And we haven't got our shooting boots on at the moment. So the chances they will give up, the chances we will have, might be even chances-wise. It might be we might even dominate or whatever. I think that's possible. But we will lose to a Saka counter-attack. Havertz is going to score. I can feel it, unfortunately. Probably one set piece and one counter-attack, I would say. But what I want to see is it not be us not just give away easy goals. Show some fight, show that the players are really up for it. And the worst thing about this is me admitting that I think we're going to lose is that I think we need to win. And I think that the pressure is actually on us. I think that the players, the manager, they'll all be aware of what's going on social media, that there are people losing faith in Ange, even if that doesn't reflect the reality of the real fan base. The loudest voices right now are the ones that are, look at those comments we're just getting. Do you know what I mean? Those are the loudest voices at the moment. So I think there is pressure on Ange, and I feel like the players need to give us something. Ange owes us one for those bad top 6 clashes that we had last season. The only game that we looked good in was the one that we didn't want to win, the second half of the season anyway.
Well, Arsenal, you can argue Arsenal we looked good in when we played them.
Yeah. I think we'll actually come out of this game. It'll be one of those games where you go, wow, like so many positives. Like there'll be so many good things that we'll do in the game, because I think Ange will give the greatest speech of all time in the changing room. He'll get them so riled up. And I think 20-25 minutes will probably just completely play them off the park. And then it will just take a counter-attack and boom. That, like, when that
Rice. I forgot about that.
There's no Declan. I was about to go into some, key talking points in terms of selection. There is no Declan Rice for Arsenal, as you're saying. Someone said no Trossard as well. I don't know if that's true, but I don't know if he's injured or not. I mean, it could be Raheem Sterling. It could be Raheem Sterling's debut for Arsenal, though, which in a weird, it does kind of concern me. Our high line, his pacing behind. He's kind of one of these players who can exploit that. Yeah. But
I prefer Sterling. I prefer Sterling to Trossard, because Trossard is more clinical. Yeah. And Sterling has a history of like dodgy VAR decisions against us and stuff like that. Like he hates Tottenham. Like things go against him when he's playing Tottenham.
In terms of key differences to last season, that could play in our favour though. Last season, I remember Højbjerg started in the 6. I remember Kulusevski was playing on the right-hand side. I remember Ben Davis was playing instead of Udogie as well on the left-hand side, and he got done for that Saka goal as well. This season, touch wood, no injuries in international break, but Udogie will be on the left-hand side. Solanke could be up front, which he wasn't up front in the last game. I'm not sure. It sounds like from the noise at the moment that he's going to be fit, but there's nothing confirmed at the moment about Van de Ven. So a lot of these things, it was fine margins last season, and if these things turn, it could turn into our favour. Is there not with no Rice as well? They're not reasons to go into it with a bit of positivity.
But big questions are: do you start with Maddison and Kulu?
Yeah, I was going to get into that question. Do you reckon he goes for it, Ange? Because against Newcastle, obviously after the brilliant game against Everton. He started the Newcastle game with Sarr instead of Decky was up front actually, so I guess he had an excuse. But he started with Sarr in the middle. Was that an indication he felt like he just needed that bit more legs in the middle there for that kind of game? And then obviously he did put Decky back in midfield in the second half, and we did look a lot better, I thought, once he did that. So do you think he looks at that and thinks and do you think? Actually, we need, even in a game like this, where it's a high-level game against a good quality opposition, with Decky and Maddison will have enough legs to deal with that, and we can do it, and we can just go gung-ho? Or will he feel like, Arsenal, we're going to need that little bit more solidity in the middle, and he's going to go for like a Bentancur or a Sarr in there?
With no Rice, for me, you have to start Kulusevski in the middle.
Yeah. That's what I want, anyway.
Yeah, and I also think there's a chance, we don't always get what we want, but I think there's a good chance of it, because he'll look at the fact that our best football this season has been when Kulu's in the middle. Bringing him on putting him there for Sarr and stuff like that in the second half of the Newcastle game. It's turned games. And I think Rice is their most combative midfielder. He's their duel winner. He is the monster in the middle of the park for them. Partey on his day obviously can be brilliant, and Jorginho can control a game. But when you're talking about high pressing, which Kulu is brilliant at, by the way, like pressures and stuff like that, and Basuma, I think we could dominate that midfield without Rice if you put Kulu in there. If you put Sarr in there, we will have more. Like I like Sarr, by the way. I want to make sure that everyone knows this. I really like Sarr. And there's certain games that he's better in midfield for us, but I think you're going to have a lot of he adds to a lot of our problems in the final third when he's there, because those long shots that he was taking and stuff like that, and he's not as clever in those intricate moments than like Kulu is and stuff like that. So I think you have to play Kulu, and I'm not going to lie. So I'm starting to feel more positive about it now, remembering that there's no Rice. If we have all our players fit, so if we have VDV and Solanke and no dodgy injuries over the international break, then I think we can get a draw. Actually, I'm going to go for a draw.
I thought he was going to say a win. I was like, Josh, the gods are listening.
Like, they're looking right at you. They're looking at you. Is he going to say, "Oh, a draw"? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what kind of midfield are we anticipating then without Rice? Or Partey, Jorginho, and Odegaard? I'm guessing.
Yeah. No Moreno.
No, Moreno's injured. Yeah, he's injured as well. So I can't think of who else they have. Because they got rid of Vieira. Just those three, which is like in terms of like solidity wise, it's still pretty combative. Partey and Jorginho in there. You know, Jorginho's played a 6. It'd be interesting to see which one they play in the 8 though, or they go double pivot, or what they do, because they usually like to play a single pivot of Rice or Partey, and then Rice either in the 8 or Rice and Odegaard. They've been liking, that's their balance at the moment. So if they go with, I don't know if they go with either Jorginho or Partey in the 8, I think that we could smell blood there. Hopefully, if Decky's very physical. We've seen that he's very compatible with this pressing. The only problem is, when we get caught out in transitions, or when are we going to have the legs to track back and cover those spaces? That's obviously the big worry. But if we can control the game like we did last season, not give away those silly set piece goals, get a bloody penalty when we get fouled in the box.
Yeah,
maybe it could be a good occasion for us. We'll have to. I mean, I think there's a lot potentially going in our favor in terms of what's different to last year. I would say in terms of what changes I'm seeing in the teams from last season's game, even though we could have won that game, to this season. I think a lot of it could go in our favor in terms of what's different or going to be different on the team sheet. And we've seen Udogie up against Saka. He had a good game against him at the Emirates. I know Saka ended up with he scored a goal, didn't he, and got a penalty. But I think by and large, Udogie in general play dealt with him fairly well. So
Saka's goal was deflected, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, Saka's goal got a big deflection as well. I don't know. I'm not going to say we're going to win, but I can't say. I'm just saying. I think
at the end of the week, you're going to call a win.
A lot of people are writing this game off because it's just if you look at it on the base of things, how Arsenal play, especially away from home, they take their chances. They're going to be resolute. They're going to probably play a low block like they've done in a lot of their away games, and they like to grind out results. And that's exactly the kind of team we don't like to face. But if we can come out like we did in the game last season, not have Højbjerg head it into his own net, control the game like we did, have Kulusevski in the middle, with Maddison together, have Solanke up front as well, giving a bit more physical. I don't know if you saw the game last year when Bournemouth, I don't even remember it, but Bournemouth played in the Emirates
against them.
He didn't, but they played Bournemouth for the back end of last season. They ended up winning the game 3-0. But I remember watching 3-1, I think it was in the end. But I remember watching that game, and Solanke really gave Saliba and Gabriel real tough time. Like they really struggled to deal with him. And I think I remember he had a goal ruled out actually through VAR, which was a bit bullshit. Yeah. It was a bit bullshit, I remember, and that should have counted. And he really gave Gabriel and Saliba a tough time. They really struggled to deal with him. So if he can have that physical threat there as well, the only problem I have is, will Son and Johnson dominate those wide areas? I've got a bit of an issue with
Johnson. Start on the right. Who'd you start on the right?
Johnson. I think it'll probably be Johnson.
No, I don't think you can start Johnson.
Well, you can't remember how you can. I think you can, because you got to remember how good he was when he came on against Newcastle. So I think off the back of that, he'll start.
He's brilliant, but as a starter, he's just so bad. I think you start Odegaard, just let him run.
I think
even Son on that side, because
I was about to say Son.
Yeah, Son can
Son on the right, Son on the right, and Odegaard on the left.
Yeah,
I don't think he'd do this
on his left and score.
Yeah,
top corner, But Son can obviously both-footed, dominant. I think Son's quite. I remember Son against City being a nightmare for them on the right the one time. So yeah, I think Son can do it. I can't be bothered watching Brennan capitulate on the right and not make the moves at the right times, soft passes, and his brain just doesn't click in. He's amazing when he comes off the bench. I feel like he's a brilliant player when you go on and take advantage and quick, like he's brilliant at that. But starting, I think he just takes some ages.
I don't know who they're going to start. I don't know if it's going to be Calafiori if he's fit or if it's going to be Zinchenko. But if they are going to start, they're saying he might be okay for the game. Oh, it could be Timber, but
it would be Timber.
Yeah, true. Probably will be Timber. Actually, thinking about it, but we haven't seen enough of him to. I don't know how he'll deal with. He's an inverted fullback who is right-footed, so having someone like Johnson who likes to go on the outside, could that be something that we could take advantage of potentially?
That's a good point.
Is he going to be less comfortable because he probably deals with a lot of wingers who cut inside, and he's probably more comfortable with that. But if someone like Johnson doesn't.
Their structure gives them so much security, like Arsenal. So that's why they can just chop and change in their defense. I don't think that's going to be a big problem. The thing for me is just being clinical, because they will be clinical. And that's why I really want Son and Solanke to start, and I want Solanke to be clinical. I'm not saying that he is a clinical player, but today he needs to be, and he needs it for his confidence. He's had a rough start now with the injury, with the first game and all that sort of stuff. Go score a goal against Arsenal and
instant legend.
Well, you got to remember it's his first home game potentially if he starts. He hasn't started at home yet, so it'll be
if you're a big game player, you would. There's no better game for you to turn up.
But watching Arsenal so far this season, especially against Villa, the chances they gave up to Villa, and I know Raya had a mad game in the end, but Watkins missed two absolute, nine times out of 10, both of those chances go in. To be honest,
scores both of those, isn't it? If he's there.
Exactly, yeah. So watching that game, I know they ended up winning 2-0 in the end, I think it was, but you're not watching that game thinking if they play like that against us, we would.
Will they though? Will they against?
No, it's us. Do you know what I mean? They won't. Yeah. That's the problem.
I've got this weird feeling that Ange does something like this where he puts Decky out on the right again. I've just got this weird feeling that he's going to do it and go with Son, Solanke, and Decky, because I just think he thinks they're just more disciplined kind of players. I don't want to see that at all, but then he puts a Bentancur in the 8, and you've got advancing player who can do intricate through the line things you're going to need, but also someone who can just foul the guy if they're breaking, So, and Bentancur is that guy. He will chase a guy back and bring him down if he needs,
If Van de Ven doesn't start, it's curtains, by the way.
So you're going to try to find some sort of other thing. It's over. It's over. 5-0 loss.
Yeah.
Can you see? Yeah, true. But in a weird way, if Dragoshin's there, could he not be more because Havertz is quite a physical striker, isn't he? He likes to hold it up. He likes to win headers. Someone like Dragoshin could be a good foil for that because that's more his thing.
If Van de Ven doesn't start, you need to start Sarr. That's for sure, because at least Sarr can cover large, areas. He can make recovery runs, and then you've got Sarr and Udogie, who neither of them can do it like Van de Ven can, but at least you've got some pace on the counter kind of thing when they're countering even.
I would love to see it. It's a crazy game to try things, and so it will never happen. But if VDV was fit, having VDV and Dragusin as the centre backs, because they're both quite speedy, so then you can actually play this high line and both can get back. Obviously VDV's faster, but Dragusin's not slow at all. He's pretty damn speedy. But then even if you played some sort of a 3 where you actually have Romero is the CDM, and then you have Madison and Basuma, things like that, where you go, if you're just thinking about, put all of your strongest players, get something, snatch and grab, who knows?
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Well, I'd love to see us try that, where we're 3 at the back, we defend with 3, and then sometimes when we're in possession, Romero steps up because he's got the ball playing to do it.
Look how many times his heat map of how many times Romero's been in the opposition's half and around that weird space where he's really high progressing the ball, and then he just goes.
Romero, if I remember rightly, Romero against Arsenal last time was almost like a number 10. Like for a lot of that game, I remember he was so far forward. It was crazy.
He should have scored like 3 goals.
He should have, yeah. He had some real unbelievable chances in that game. It could have gone. Honestly, that game could have gone either way. We were just so bad from set pieces. Hopefully, look, if Solanke's in the team as well, if Doggy's in the team, hopefully he'll be a lot more physical from those set pieces. And it seems like we're doing something different set pieces so far this season. I mean, I'm with Josh in terms of with no Rice there. I really want to see him just go for it in that middle. That's been the midfield three where we've looked the best on the ball. We've looked the most creative. We've hurt the opposition the most. We've given them. I think we've probably had most control with those three as well. So I would like to see him with Solanke back. You know, I don't want to see him go Decky back on the right. So I think he has to fit him in the centre. It's the only way you can fit him in. And he had an unbelievable game. I know it was only against Estonia, but he was an unbelievable game for Sweden yesterday in the middle as well. He's just playing too well. You can't leave him out, and I can't see him dropping Maddison.
It looks like he's enjoying football again. Like everything he says, he looks like he's doing it with.
But he's very physical in the middle. He can. I know he's not like a proper duel winner, but he can be very physical in that middle in terms of how he gets involved in challenges, and if he's up for it and he can the only thing I worry is, if we are having spells of the game where Arsenal are on top and they're the ones dominating, will we have enough to keep him out with Decky in there rather than a Sarah Bentacle? That's the worry I have. But I actually do envisage, Arsenal giving us control. I think that that's how they'll play it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't have to worry about that as much.
Where did Kulusevski play for Sweden?
In the 10.
In the 10. Okay, cool.
They played a 5-3-2 and he was part of the 3.
But he did float across to the right into that where he played for us.
Well, I was going to say, with Odebear not looking comfortable on the right, Johnson not starting well, it might actually be a game where if they're going to give us control, as long as you have Porro making the outside runs instead of the inside runs, then and Kulu can take up that inside space, then maybe you do start Kulu on the right.
Well, he did start on the right last time against them, and he was brilliant when he played in that role. But the only problem with him in that role is he just cuts inside so much. He doesn't maintain the width, which we need in our system.
This time his cut in and then the little floaty crosses, that might get Flowers with Solanke there.
That's true.
That's not a bad point.
We've never had a player since Kane that those crosses work because no one's going up for that number 9 header,
But I think Arsenal, do you reckon they're going to this game super confident they're going to get a win, especially the fans?
One thing that I forgot to say was, flip the narrative for a second. Or sorry, put yourself in their shoes. Yeah, if they lose this game, that's title over basically. If City win their game, they've just dropped 2 points to Brighton at home. They go and lose this game to us. This is a chance for Ange to really, make up for that loss last season, which was avoidable if we did something on set pieces. For fuck's sake. So
even a draw for Arsenal isn't good because it's 2 games back to back, dropping points. Their fans start.
When you're in a title race with City, any drop points is like a loss essentially.
Yeah.
I think if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be worrying about this, and I think if we can get an early goal and go ahead, and then when we're bringing Johnson on in the second half or whatever, then all he's worrying about is breaks on the counter because Arsenal are trying to take control of the game and stuff. That could set up really nicely, and it will play in their heads if they go a goal down early, or just if we go into the second half ahead. I think that it'd be a really good game state for us. I think the fans will get on top of them. I feel like they will be worrying because this isn't the start that they had last season, and I feel like there's a lot on the line for them. There's a lot of pressure on the line for them.
I think it's start fast, shock them, really go out. That's why I would say throw all of it in the wind and just put Kulu in there and have the extra attacker, and then just take the momentum. And then if we can keep the momentum like we have been for most of the game, then late in the game try to even push it even further, but because a draw would be all right, but I think they're going to panic at some point as well, because if they go a goal down, they're going to turn it on like crazy, and then they're going to be able to catch on the counter. So
Yeah, because they're a team that is not used to conceding goals. So if they go a goal down, that is the key to if we can win this game. I think we have to get the first goal, which is not what usually happens in North London derbies, is it?
We always chasing the game, always trying to come back from behind.
And that could be, but getting some sort of result out of this could really change our season around. Like
definitely.
It's huge at this point, you know, like a slow start and then you get the NL derby like really early.
If we got a win, the belief is all back at 100 again for everyone.
Right, I'm going for a win. I'm all in.
Window was 10 out of 10. It was on like everything is back on.